First of all, I don't know if people are aware, but there's a magical window when you're talking to someone, especially over the phone. There's a magical window of 150 milliseconds to 300 milliseconds. If you respond faster than 150 milliseconds, I know something is wrong. That's not a human behavior. If you consistently respond slower than 300 milliseconds, a third of a second, I also know there's something wrong.
Welcome to the Utah Business Spotlight. I'm Peter Anthony. I'm your host. I am super excited. I have Art Coombs here today. I need you to do a couple of things because people always ask me, why do I do this spotlight? Well, to be honest with you, entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, they inspire me to take my agency, the incubator, to the next level. But today, I am with someone I'm going to force him to be my mentor. He's absolutely amazing. You're going to learn something. So here's what you need to do. You need to you need to subscribe. You need to prepare to share this and to bookmark it because I promise you, you're going to hear stories that are going to inspire you. Art, thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Man, it's interesting how I stumbled across you. Our friend, Curtis Marsh, recommended that you be on the podcast. We just had Curtis on. And I said, hey, Curtis, do you know anybody who'd be great? And he's like, oh. And he connected me with Angel. Angel's on your team. Angel's like, you need to talk to the CEO and founder of our company. So first, let's tell us a little about your company. First, the URL. Let's start with the URL. And then
URL?
www.
I don't think you have to say that anymore, but I will.
All right.
KomBea, KomBea.com.
Yeah. And KomBea is interesting company. What you're doing is you're seeing AI in a different way. You're humanizing an experience that for so long has been sterilized and not humanized. And what I love about the way you're approaching it, it's almost the same way that I want to approach it and that we are approaching it in our country on a micro. You're doing more of a macro. So I was like, oh man, I got to talk to Art. And Angel was like, well, you know, we've got some things coming up for Tech Week and we're going to talk about Tech Week. And I was like, I need to pick this young man's brain and really get to the nitty gritty of what he's doing and see where there's some alignment. And it's going to be real special. So first and foremost, tell us a little about your background, Art.
A completely anemic student in high school. I gravitated towards wood shop, metal shop, and athletics. I kicked it in college. I kicked it in, and that's a longer story, but I really kicked it in, and I graduated with honors. And I grew up in Silicon Valley. So it was just, it was like...
And you grew up in Silicon Valley when Silicon Valley was hot.
I grew up in Silicon Valley when we were completely naive with what was going on around us. Bob Brandt lived down the street. He started a little company called Oracle with a guy by the name of Larry Ellison. Ray Norda was a neighbor up the street. I went to high school with his kids. He was the CEO of Novell, and I remember him coming over and talking to my dad about why he's moving and going up to this little... Novell was a hardware company, and he was going up and going to turn it into a software company. Paul Jorgensen was the CEO of Stanford Research Institute. My first job was at the HP Labs, right directly underneath Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard's office. They worked right up above me. Now, they were hardly ever in the office, but they were right there. But in that setting, I'll never forget, I was sitting there and I was watching a guy by the name of Len Bozak and Sandy Lerner. And they had a little black box about the size of a bread box. And I said, what is that? And they said, we call this a router. And I said, really? And about 6 months after that, they invited me to go to dinner and they were celebrating with a whole bunch of people. And they just incorporated Cisco that night. So that was the environment I grew up in.
So cool, right?
Steve Jobs and Wozniak, they go to a rival high school. They go to Homestead High School. They were 2-3 years older than I am, but they go to a rival high school. That was the environment. I remember Apple when Apple was one little tiny office building on Bub Road.
Wow.
That was all it was there.
That's so cool. And my experience with Silicon Valley back in 1996, my company won a prestigious award. We had salon chains. We won Salon of the Year. And my PR group came to me and said, you need a website. And I was like, okay,
Do I?
cool. I'm like, I don't understand. And we were already networked up. So we were the first salon to be computerized. We were just groundbreaking in what we were doing back in '89. So we were sophisticated, but I didn't. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, well, show me what it is. And they said, well, first we're going to tell you the price. It's $50,000, which by today's money, it's probably 200 grand, right?
Right.
And I was like, wow, okay, cool. I had the money. We were doing ridiculously well in the space. And I said, well, show me what it does. And it was 5 pages, right? It was terrible. Super simple. And I just went out and I taught myself how to code, how to write algorithms. My original pursuit was engineering, but I wound up in the pre-law and philosophy programs.
Good for you.
Stony Brook University. And yeah, so we started building websites, and then I created an algorithm to solve a problem, right? And the algorithm was delivery. So we thought, wouldn't it be cool in this space? We started the beautymall.com, and I started with a company, and then we were out in Silicon Valley, and I met a gentleman named Sky Dayton who started Earthlink. Mm-hmm. And they had just valued MP3 at $1 billion. So they valued the beauty mall. So they wanted this delivery algorithm that was just basically taxonomy, right? Based on zip codes. But it solved the problem that Tony Hsieh couldn't solve at the time, which is, how do I get products delivered, like shoes, delivered timely instead of having to ship them across the country? And the beauty industry had already solved that problem. So I just codified it. It was fun. And then, of course, in 2000, the .com burst in May of 2000. And that was my journey. You know, it was interesting. It's interesting to know that you were in Silicon Valley, because, you know, that was, for anybody who was even dabbling, it was the Mecca.
Yeah, I think it's, and it's infectious. Entrepreneurialism in that environment, it just breeds. It's just all around you. It's so pervasive that you can't help but have it affect you. And my dad was an entrepreneur. It was just, my son's an entrepreneur. It just is in my DNA.
Yeah. And where your DNA has taken you with KomBea is just incredible. What you're doing in the AI integration space of humanizing something that is very difficult to humanize is incredible.
Very, very difficult.
Share a little about that process with us.
Golly, there's so much I could go. First of all, I don't know if people are aware, but there's a magical window when you're talking to someone, especially over the phone. There's a magical window of 150 milliseconds to 300 milliseconds. If you respond faster than 150 milliseconds, I know something is wrong. That's not a human behavior. If you consistently respond slower than 300 milliseconds, a third of a second, I also know there's something wrong. So there's that magical window that you have to get. There's also humans. It's a very nuanced way of communicating. A pause, intonation in the voice. If I say, gee, I'm really sorry, I burnt the cookies, give me just a second. That's going to warrant oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sure, take your time. As opposed to, hey, I'm really sorry, I just came from my father's funeral. That's a completely different, I'm sorry. Wow, I'm going to call you back. I can tell this is not a good time. You have to be able to understand the difference.
So, which is interesting. Are you familiar with the book Blink?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And they talk a lot about that when they're looking at relationships, and how human beings can perceive in just a short window of
Very
time.
quickly.
Very, very quickly, even if based on the film breakdown. So it's interesting that you've specialized in that in your company.
Very, very quickly. Humor is another one. I can spot AI a mile away. So when people call me, they often use my first name, Arthur. And my response, and I know it's sort of a dad joke, and my kids always roll their eyes, and my wife says, you do that every single time. But my response is, they'll say, hey, do you mind if I call you Arthur? And I'll say, yeah, sure, if you're my mom and mad at me. Now, see, a normal person is going to get that. AI doesn't pick up on that sarcasm. It doesn't pick up on the humor. So in our environment, it's absolutely crucial. It's a non-starter. The consumer has to believe they're talking to a human being. Because when you and I talk, and we now hear a synthetic voice, we now hear an AI solution, our vocabulary shrinks, our intonation changes, our brain thinks differently.
Sure. And our desire changes. We are pre-preparing to disengage. Oh. As soon as you know it's synthetic, you're pre-preparing to disengage because you're looking for the fault so that you can get to the human.
99,
does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. 99% of the people I talk to, I say, when you hear a synthetic voice, when you hear AI, what's the very first thing you do?
Zero.
Agent, 0, representative. You know,
I'm probably on your training tapes, Art.
0. Right. But we all do that. And why do we do that? So if you think about customer service, there's 3 things we as consumers want. 3 things and 3 things only. I don't care if you're standing in a grocery line or buying gas.
This is a learning moment. There's 3 things customers
want. 3
want.
things. Respect my time. Don't leave me in a queue forever. If you pick up the phone, don't put me on hold and search a knowledge base for 5 minutes or try to get your supervisor to give you the answer. Respect my time. Be accurate. Make this interaction easy. I'm calling for a reason. I want something done. I need a problem solved. Make it easy and accurate. And then be polite and professional. Where it breaks down for AI is we as consumers do not believe it's going to be easy. We still believe that talking to a human is going to give us the fastest results.
It's interesting, right? Because humans are more prone to make mistakes because we're even though we know the answer and we can articulate, I've read maybe 3,000 books, I can access, which is not a lot in comparison to AI has access to the whole human library.
Yep.
But for a human being, I'm a savant,
right?
Yep. But at the end of the day, I can't access that information fast enough or accurately enough to be proficient in the conversation as AI would if it had read the same 3,000 books.
And that's exactly where we're going. Absolutely exactly. I want to combine the strengths of a human. So your creativity, your intuition, your moral reasoning, all of that, the stuff that makes a human interaction really human. You can understand the sarcasm. You can understand the sorrow if you need to. You can respond appropriately. But we blend human intelligence with artificial intelligence. So I'm bringing the consistency and the speed to that answer and the measurability, the endurance, the accuracy, all of it comes together.
And your customer satisfaction rates have to start to go through the roof when you do that. Because ultimately, like you're saying, one is respect my time. I've already been interrupted, the pattern interrupted. I know your time is ridiculously expensive. When I'm in the role of the CEO of the incubator, my time is ridiculously expensive. And it's limited. You know, now that I'm 61 years old, I'm like, man, there's a lot of things I just won't do anymore because my time is limited. I want to spend the rest of my time doing the things I love. So I certainly don't want to dial into artificial voice, and I certainly don't want to dial into a human who doesn't know what they're doing. Right. I'm looking for time respect. That's first, like you said. But then secondary, I'm looking for understanding and empathy because my background is I met Tony Robbins in '83 and trained with Tony for over 30 years. Flew around the world working on NLP. So when I get hyped up because I'm Italian and I'm from this highly hypeable Mediterranean background, man, you got to dial me down, right? And what I find is, human beings don't have that skill set necessarily in abundance. They understand it, but you can train AI to use things like empathy and humor to dial somebody down because they're so respectful of their time and they're immediately introducing some of the solutions. Your company does this at scale, which I am such a huge fan of. I mean, I'm totally following you. I'm going to force you to write more books. So tell me, like, you're working with companies that have thousands or hundreds of thousands of customer service agents all integrating simultaneously. So your AI solution has to be deep.
Yeah, we use, and this is a much deeper conversation, we use small language models because they're fast. Remember that window, that 150 to 300 millisecond window. They're fast and they're easy to manipulate and easy to move and improve. And there's an agent often in and on the loop. That's sort of AI jargon, but there's an agent in and on the loop. And as AI learns from what the agent is doing, it's also watching every interaction, listening to everything the customer is saying, everything that's going on, and it's learning. So it's going, oh, I would have done things differently. The agent jumped in and did this, but if I were listening to my AI model, I would have done X instead of Y. And so the AI is sitting back going, oh, well, which one is right now? Is what I would have done or is what the agent did? So we're constantly learning.
And are you A/B testing that?
Absolutely. It's so easy to do too.
It's so sexy that you're doing that because you're doing it in real time.
Yes.
So you can make that adjustment. So if, let's say, you're bringing in, and this is just me geeking out, right? You're bringing in 150,000 calls a day into a small call center of, let's say, 7,000 people, right? They're each handling 20 calls a day, something innocuous, right? But on the 50,000th call, you learn something. Those next 90,000 calls are better.
Let me tell you a story. So we're working with the largest wine company on the planet, selling wine in Australia. People in Australia are big time wine aficionados. They're just crazy about their wine. So we're selling wine into Australia for this company. We're going through and we're doing okay. We're selling millions and millions of dollars of wine. But somebody somewhere said, you know what? I think we need one more rebuttal. What if the agent were to say, you know what? If I take my commission out of the sale, I can bump this down to X dollars. Would you be willing? Now, I've already given you two or three. Free shipping, no return. I've given you all these things, right?
This is getting good, Art.
I've given you all these reasons.
You guys listen.
And you've said, no, thank you. No, thank you. Are you sure? I can do this. I can throw this. But the very last thing, we added this one sentence. Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take my commission out of the sale and I'll bump the price down to X. Would you buy under those conditions? We added that one thing. We have hundreds of agents on the phone, but we only deployed that little change on 5. Within an hour, sales for those 5 agents jumped 30%.
Wow.
Now,
in one day.
In 1 hour. In one hour.
Oh,
we knew that small change in the process had that big of an impact. Now, the cool thing is, all we said is, okay, implement it to all 200 agents. You don't have to train them. You don't have to do chair drops. You don't have to hang posters in the call center. You don't have to call QA people. All of a sudden, all 200 people are using that same strategy. What happened to sales? Bang. Off the chart.
So, and when you say 200 people, you mean 200 AI agents?
I'm talking 200 agents that are on the loop, watching and monitoring multiple protocol agents. So we have...
So you're extrapolating information that you're learning over here and applying it to live as well as virtual.
So this will get a little complicated, but we have protocol AI in the cloud that doesn't have any agent monitoring or what we call in or on the loop. But we also have clients that have agents in and on the loop where they want that agent touch. They want still to improve their models. And that was a classic example of how we could have improved. AI would have never come up with that, suggestion.
Yeah, and they say that your job's not going to be replaced by AI. It's going to be replaced by the people who know the power of how to use AI effectively.
AI is going to make humans super human and super capable, and that's what our software does for customer service agents. Just to your point, you've read hundreds of books, thousands of books. With AI, you could pick up quotes and you could quote, Jim Collins and Good to Great. You could do in a heartbeat. You wouldn't have to do anything. And yet the consumer on the other side thinks, whoa, this guy is just like
brilliant,
absolutely insane.
And on our side, because we're creating small language models for solopreneurs, we use humor and integrate. And tell me what you think of this, right? As I share it with you, you're probably already doing it. We use humor and we integrate a semblance of community. So Valerie, my AI agent, will pick up the phone and say, "Hi, this is Valerie. This is Peter Anthony's AI agent. Two things I need you to know. One is Peter Anthony's not the genius behind the company. I am, but don't tell him because he's got a big ego, right?" So we disarm with humor. And then we say, the second thing is, after this, I might send you to my cousin, Helena, on Facebook. I got promoted. Helena's starting on Facebook. Please say hello to her and be really nice because she's new, right? They're both AI agents. Yeah. People go bananas because we're creating fake communities, but those fake communities feel human.
No, it's absolutely right. I'll never forget a customer, same type of scenario. They were doing outbound campaigns for political fundraising.
Yeah.
They added a little tiny change to the script that I thought was kind of corny, but it was a masterpiece. They would say, "Hey, Peter, this is Peter. Boy, Peter, you're harder to get a hold of than the last pickle in pickle jar."
Brilliant.
And it just cut through
it's a complete pattern interrupt.
Yeah, and people would just chuckle and, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Hey, Peter, I know you donated donated and supported either the Democrats or the Republicans, whoever it was that they were raising money for. Would you be willing to support us again this year?" But that little tiny pickle in the pickle jar radically changed political donations.
And the conversion rates explode, your hang time rates explode, but your customer satisfaction rates become epic because that's really what we've always wanted. We wanted you to be aware of our time, and we wanted the integration because you need the pattern interruption because your pattern's already been interrupted. Why am I on the phone with you? Because there's a problem. Why am I on the phone with you? Because you want to sell me something. Right.
I either need, I have a situation I need you to help me resolve, or what are you pitching? What are you trying to do with me today?
Are you having fun?
I love what I do, and I love who I do it with. I can honestly say that.
Cool. That's so cool, man. So your company's based here in Utah?
It is. It's at Thanksgiving Point. We're down at Lehi, where there are a lot of high-tech companies.
Yeah, we are. We have an office there.
Silicon Slopes, yeah.
That's I love it there. And you've got some things coming up because I know Tech Week's coming out.
We've got Utah Tech Week coming up, and we've got a couple of presentations we're going to be doing there. I don't know if it's Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, but yeah, that information is TBD.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And you're doing the presentations at Tech Week.
We are. There's a big presentation in Chattanooga for a place called Project Voice, where a ton of AI. I personally think
Chattanooga, Tennessee
is going to be in April 27th and 28th.
Chattanooga, Tennessee, April 27th and 28th. You're going to be speaking.
I will be
at that conference.
I will be.
I think I might attend.
I would love to have you attend. You attend and we'll go to dinner.
Okay, cool. That's done deal. I'm in. I'm just, honey, if you're watching this, I won't be here in April. I'll be in Tennessee. I'll hit Nashville, then I'll hit Chattanooga.
And I'll tell my wife I got a date with
Peter Anthony, right? I got a date with some Italian fellow. He's from Brooklyn, but he lives in Draper.
I love it. We're both from Vegas.
Yeah, and we're both from Vegas. I think what you're doing is so cool. And I think people really, even if you're a solopreneur and you don't have an AI, I wouldn't know why you wouldn't have an AI receptionist and exponentially grow yourself. But if you don't, what you're learning needs to be shared with the marketplace, because you can create change in the human being. Like you were saying, AI is giving us the power to become superhumans because it can test so much and it can bring to us so much to make us better.
Absolutely.
And so many people right now are living in fear.
Absolutely.
Like Elon's like in 2030, it's all over. The singularity is coming. And I think that it's just going to be different.
I think the fear is warranted. I can see firsthand how unscrupulous people would use technology, but it's been the same ever since technology's been around. Someone's going to use it for ill-gotten gains.
Someone's going to use fire to burn a house down or to cook a great meal.
The internet, you can see it all over the place. But I choose, like KomBea, I want to change the world to make it a better place. I want to embrace that power. I don't want to just cower in fear and say, I'm a victim. I want to use it. I want to use AI to really change the world, to make it better, safer, more efficient, more productive.
So here's something that I'm going to hit on. I think that we might agree to disagree on. I'd love to use AI to make Corner Canyon football better. Can we just program everybody's moves in, how many steps they take?
Since my family's a big Lone Peak.
I know.
A lone
I just had to tease you a little bit.
No, I absolutely love it.
Lone Peak's a great program. They're a great school. It's just so much fun to be involved in Utah football and to get to see it. It's infectious. A different world.
It's infectious. It's absolutely fun.
Yeah. I call it my kids are in high school now, and I call it the Mecca. I mean, I went to a very large high school, 10,000 students.
Mm-hmm. That is huge.
Yeah, huge. I had 3,000 in my graduating class, and we had great teams. But you'd have 400 or 500 kids try out for the football team. And the year below me, we played against, there was Jumbo Elliott was on the team and a bunch of other people. And, your whole starting lineup's going D1.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen anything like that until I got to Utah. And then I go, like, Corner Canyon's a quarterback factory, right? I mean, like, Lone Peak is just an incredibly good program. And, but there's some other good programs out here too.
Yeah, no, it's
and it's fun.
It's a fun place to be if you like high school football
and college football. I mean,
college football too
is great.
Yeah,
they had a great season this year. Utah had a good season. State, is always competitive. Yeah, it's always competitive.
You got Bronco up there now, and he's doing some good things. So,
and my guy Urban Meyer even, took a stint at Utah. I'm a Gator, so I got it. Yeah, so it was cool getting Urban and seeing that. So it's just fun. It's just fun. What you're doing for the community and business and family, it's just, I hope more people get to meet you at Tech Week and start to follow you and learn from your depth of wisdom. I mean, you've been out there doing this and you're a savant at it. I'm really grateful you took the time.
I'll pass you the money under the table after we're done.
Cool. I only accept cash or Venmo. Thank you so much, Art. This is the Utah Business Spotlight. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. Ask our questions. Leave questions there. I'll get them to them. And it'll be AI responding, but that's okay. You won't know the difference.
I promise it won't.
Have a great night.